I would like to introduce our very last panel about the impact of role models going out of their way. Sophia Parsa is a CEO and co-founder of Toot. Leen Li is Chief Financial Officer of Wealthsimple, and Hartley is Chief Digital Officer of the province of Ontario. Welcome to the stage, ladies. All right, they stayed with us. They stayed with us. So you just heard me speak for a few minutes there. So I'm gonna, in the spirit of letting people tell their own stories, I'm gonna let each one of you introduce yourself. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi everyone. Second time you see me today. So I'm Leen Li. I'm the CFO at Wealthsimple. Wealthsimple is an online investment manager that is passionate about to provide accessible, affordable, and smart financial services product to everyone. Our CEO and co-founder, Mike Cashin, was in the early panel this morning, so I'm now going to do more about my company.
Welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia Parsa. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Toot. We are, I'm really happy to say, a venture-backed company out of Los Angeles in the education space. And through our app, students can use our app to help them with their math homework. So we use computer vision and machine learning to help them solve their math problems.
Hi, folks. I'm Hartley.
Yeah.
That's my team. Share for each other. That's the name of the game. I'm the Chief Digital Officer for the province and also Deputy Minister of Consumer Services, which means I get to lead a really passionate, awesome team that is doing digital transformation for the province and also running Service Ontario and all of its myriad functions. So it's exciting.
Awesome. Welcome, ladies. So again, I know it's been a long day, but I want to think of this panel as sort of the bow that ties it all together, all the dots that the inspiration we've thrown at you. I think this is a really important panel because, as I said, role models are so important. When I was thinking about what I wanted to be when I grew up, I didn't really know where to look. And when I decided I wanted to be a journalist, for me, it was Barbara Walters becoming the first major female news anchor. It was Connie Chung becoming the first Asian American news anchor. And then when I was at City TV, being part of a staff that reflected the city. And that inspired me to think of myself outside of the box. But I think we know that in 2018, inspiration is not enough. We need to do a little bit more than that. And I think maybe we need to understand as a whole, as we move the dial, what is a role model supposed to do so that they're just more than inspiration? And I'd like to ask each one of you about your own leadership journey and how role models made a difference in terms of moving you ahead. So who drew the short stick? Who wants to go first?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was raised in a very entrepreneurial household. So naturally, actually, my father was my role model. He was a tech entrepreneur with a very large company based out of Irvine. And at a very young age, he gave me a business card. At a very young age, he was taking me to things like CES, which is a computer electronics show based out of Las Vegas.
I'm sure your classmates love that you were handing out business cards.
I wasn't. I actually had no idea what to do with it. I was like, this is cool. And it actually said vice president of his company.
That's amazing.
And he'd invite me to his meetings. And so I would take notes, I guess, and things like that. And so he kind of paved this path for me without me even realizing it. I thought everyone was an entrepreneur.
That's amazing. That's amazing about what someone believing in you and how you can look at yourself because of that belief. Leen, can you share a story of how a role model made up, not just an inspiring difference, but really moved you along?
Very similar to your story. So my role model, if I can only pick one, is my mom. So I'm 43 years old. My children, lots of people here. My mom is not entrepreneur for sure. She's a civil engineer. My dad is a civil engineer as well, so they met at school. What I learned from my mom really young age is to be independent. I think that's very important to drive me for the rest of my career, to making sure that what I can do to prevent myself dependent on one thing, one job, one person. Always making sure that I'm independently making decisions for myself and for the people around me. That was very important since I grew up. And when I moved to Canada many years ago, I think that drives me to always be better, always be independent, and always be the person to say, I want to make choice for myself. I do not want others to make choice for myself. So that really gave me, I think, a lot of leverage and resilience to just move along, move forward on a day-to-day basis.
I love that. Just a short story. I remember reading somewhere that Malala Yousafzai's father was asked, what did you do for your daughter? That she became this inspirational figure. And he said, I didn't do anything. I just didn't clip her wings. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to get away and give that person their independence.
It's a funny story. So my mom came to visit me in Canada when she was 67. She didn't speak a word English. She was here for about a month and a half. She made about $200 on her own, and then she made more friends in Halifax, that's where I went to school, than I did.
Really?
The first year. So it was amazing. And she learned 150 English words.
Wow, that's amazing. And Hillary,
you know, when I was thinking about this question, I don't think I've had a lot of kind of classic role models, but a lot of people who probably don't even know the influence they had on my life that have just pushed me or made space for me, made time for me, told me, you know, kind of pointed me in a direction and encouraged me. And those, you know, they're not... It's not like a hierarchical role model or a mentor as much as it's just been those people that have kind of made space for me and that encouragement. You know, just a coffee with a colleague who has said, you know, that sounds like it could be kind of scary. You should probably do it. You know, those kind of moments. It's kind of an amalgamation of all of the different people in my life who have just kind of pushed me a little bit and a little bit here and a little bit there. And the folks that are, I think, really great role models are the ones that help you find those bits of yourself that you didn't know were there and help you find your community and encourage you to show up for each other.
I call that the inception model, by the way. It's like somebody putting an idea in your brain, and then, you know, it's not until you believe it's your own idea that you actually get to it. Yeah. So the second question is about creating the role models that we don't currently have. So I'd like your input. If we were to create like the perfect avatar of the 2018 role model, because we know that it's no longer enough to just have inspiration. And for us, maybe it was coffee meetings, and now there's a whole generation out there who's saying, how many coffee meetings can I have? Which is amazing, by the way, that platform that you guys just introduced today, because it's true. How many coffee meetings can I have? How many TED Talks can I listen to until I can actually take that inspiration into something more tangible? So, Leen, I'll let you start. The hard question. Tell us what kind of role model everybody should be.
It's very interesting. So a week ago when we had this phone conversation, after that I'm trying to prepare for the panel. I'm trying to put a list down on the people and the events that I felt that have moved the dial for them. The list was really short. I was very, I feel like maybe crappy because it was just like, I don't think I'm that self-sufficient person. How come I don't have a long list that when I have moved out for other people, then I did another list for people who have moved out for me. That in my opinion, they have gone out of their way, moved out for me, and the list was long. I think that was an aha moment for me, was creating a role model is not just, it's say less, do more, right? It's the little things that you do, the little things that other people did for you actually made a big change in the future of your career, your personal life. That person may not realize it, but for me, when I received that, and I take it to heart and make a big difference in the future of my life. That is the little things that we go out of the way, that have that coffee chat, spend an hour going through the financial models with me, and spend half an hour to practice English with me. Those little things that really made change in my life. And I start to realize that role model is what you do every single day. Go out of your way, make a small impact on other people, and eventually the sum of those impact this person receive from everybody will make huge difference in their lives. So there's, in my mind, we all can be role models. Just go out of your way, make little changes every single day on people around you, and really believe what you did will make big change in that person's life. Maybe not today, but collectively we can make that change. So
I love that. So your mentor to mentee ratio should be higher, more towards being a mentor. It's so true. I mean, get your notebooks out and have that honest self-reflection. How many people have I actually helped move forward? And that list might kind of strike you. Sophia, what do you think?
So it's funny, when we were preparing as well, I just went into Google and I was like, role models, mentors, like who are the greatest people in the world right now? And it was just a list of celebrities and things like that. And that's awesome. Like, I think that they're using their platforms in great ways, but I was kind of looking for more Malalas, right? Like more people, like you mentioned, who are young, they're activists, they're doing things because they believe in the mission, and it's not so much about the money or the business, right? It's more about, this needs to happen, this change needs to happen, and I need to figure out how to get there, and it doesn't matter which way. And I think similarly in mentorship, that's what I look for in my mentors, and that I hope that as people think about being mentors or mentees, that they're willing to find a way to change someone's life, like you mentioned, and go out of the way and sometimes say yes even though they want to say no, or vice versa.
It's why I always repeat, by the way, that many stories matter, and we need to be a responsible audience, because you can't say, oh, I want these stories that are out there, and then nobody goes out to watch them. They don't become popular, and therefore they can't be repeated. Hillary, your avatar, your perfect avatar of a 2018 role model.
I spend a lot of time thinking about leadership and culture, and the kind of culture that I want to create as a leader. So I don't know about an avatar, but I've thought a lot about the kinds of qualities that I strive to model, and I'm not perfect, but so that other leaders can see what's important to me. And I think, the things that I talk about a lot are things like servant leadership, the idea that we've got to kind of flip that hierarchy, and leaders need to put themselves in a place to be supporting and building up more than anything. My job is to support you, figure out what you need to get your job done, and move all of this shit out of the way to be able to do that. And so,
yes.
And so I think that, things, the only way that that kind of stuff happens, the only way that an organization can really flip that hierarchy is by thinking about, trust and empowering folks to, the best leaders that I ever had were folks that either explicitly or just implicitly told me in various ways that they trusted me to get my work done, to get my job done. I think that your question wasn't exactly about leadership, but for me, that's a big piece of it. Is how can leaders show up and bring their whole selves to their work, to their community, and show up in those various ways that just shows folks what they expect. And I think. I was relating it to my work a little bit as well, because when I took this job, I started meeting with all of my peers and kind of leaders across the public service. And in those early meetings with them, I try to tell them and their senior teams, listen, my job, I feel, is to be your biggest internal critic, because criticism is good, critic in a good way. But your biggest external champion. And I think that's what role models need to do as well. It's like, how can you be critical in good ways to help push people forward, but just holler from the rooftops about all the amazing stuff that's getting done?
It's tough love, right? I mean, that's how great families work, tough love.
Yeah.
We're going to go on time, so people are going to be very happy with us. I'm going to do a rapid fire with each one of you, because you are role models to this audience. So if you were to give one piece of advice, to the gracious audience that have stayed here, what would it be?
Me again first?
You
Okay.
again.
Great.
Oh, no, you know what? We'll go with Hillary. We'll go with Hillary.
I'll start. I haven't started. I'm repping today for my friend Leanne, who, I didn't tell her that I was going to. But the point of this is find your community and show up in big ways and small ways for them, because they'll show up for you.
Similar to you. I started a community out of Los Angeles in moment of need. I was pivoting my business. I was thinking I need to meet with people like you who are willing to share information and I can learn from. And so what was supposed to be one dinner where I brought together 20 people for just an exchange of knowledge turned into a 5,000 member community over the last 2.5 years. And that has created some of the best mentors, the best connections. We help one another. We come together once a month. And my advice is just to start one yourself. It's like you can create these micro communities for yourselves. Just bring powerful women or men together and have everyone be a part of the conversation. Sorry.
That's okay.
Me again. Yes,
I think one advice will be, from me, is really, you can learn from everybody. And you can teach everybody else something that that person doesn't know, doesn't have. If you want to learn from people around you, really sit and listen, asking questions, really put your guard down. To be just sitting there and say, I can learn something from you. Yeah. And if you want to be mentor of other people, really be confident and say, you know what, I have something that I can offer, nobody else can. And go out there to share that with other people, then we can grow out together. Right? The role model is sitting next to you right now, and you're the role model for the person sitting next to you. So just be open to learn and be open to share.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Never underestimate the power of a role model. For me, it's about many stories matter. Remember that. Embody your own message and be a responsible audience for the stories that we want to move the dial. So this is my reporter background. We've got 3 minutes left.
Awesome.
Thank you to everybody for listening. Thank you to our panelists. I just want to say one more time, Sophia Parsa, CEO and co-founder of Toot, Leen Li, Chief Financial Officer at Wealthsimple, and Hillary Hartley, Chief Digital Officer at Province of Ontario. Thanks for the conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you, you're great. Thank you. Yeah.